We're shining bright. And we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet. Our neighborhood, our world.
Friday night lights, college dreams, but most players never make it past high school. When the dream ends, life just begins. Some made the league, but when the game ends, depression, anxiety, financial ruin.
Greetings everyone, and welcome to Life After the Gridiron. I'm Dr. Suave Walker, better known as Dr. Brother Suave. And it's my co-host, Super Bowl champion, Lional Jelly Roll Dalton. And this is Life After the Gridiron. Can you hear me? All right. Well, we have real stories and real conversations. So Lionel, let's briefly introduce our listening audience to who we are and a little bit about ourselves. Would you like to start, or you would like me to start? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if you hear me. We've been having some challenges, everyone, but we're definitely going to get this show going on. But so anyway, I'm just going to share briefly about our listening audience. So our mission is to share life stories about life after the gridiron and all your professional stories. We're going to talk about our professional stories and our veterans. For veterans, our goals are to bring awareness and peaks and valleys after leaving both the football field and as a veteran. So now that we discuss our missions, we're just going to briefly share a little bit about myself. All right. So I'm a retired psychotherapist, author, creator, sociology, life coach, former professional athlete, and highly decorated Marine Corps and a veteran from Operation Desert Storm. And I also have TBI. I had challenges when I went to Desert Storm, and so it's definitely been affecting me. So we're going to be actually trying to go through a lot of things. So in this podcast, we're going to share a lot of things about ourselves as well as our very special guests. So Champ, tell them a little bit about yourself. Hope you can hear me. Okay, so I guess it was able to go off. Unfortunately, we've just been having some challenges, so I don't even see my guests. I don't see my co-host. Oh, okay, there you go. I see Miss Stephanie. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes. So I'm getting anxiety right now because I'm like, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything. So unfortunately, my guest is off. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to maneuver this the best way I can. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So tonight we just have a very, very special guest. Starting off our new Life After the Gridiron with season 1, episode 1. And so this guest is a social activist. She's a social entrepreneur, a survivor, a philanthropist. She's also a player advocate, a partner, and the partner of All-Pro NFL linebacker for the Carolina Panthers and Indianapolis Colts. And this person was the first person to sign a guaranteed contract in the NFL, but she's also a founding member of the president of NFL Sisters in Service, the only 501c3 organization comprised of wives, daughters, and mothers of current now and retired NFL players. So without further ado, let's welcome the wonderful and talented Stephanie Anderson. Welcome to Life After the Gridiron, Stephanie. And I apologize for the challenges we've been having.
Thank you, Brother Suave and Brother Jelly Roll for having me. I'm so honored to be your first guest. I'm very
Yes,
excited. Thank you.
yes, yes. And I'm just so happy because it's like getting a chance to have someone on our show that's really because we about advocacy, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely happy to have you on. So I'm going to first just ask you to just give a little background about who you are and what you've been doing and your purpose and why you're so passionate about this.
Well, oh, we got Brother Jelly Roll. Hey, Brother Jelly
Okay.
Roll.
I'm back. How you guys doing?
Yes. Yes, we trying to get it going.
So first show,
Yes.
you know, what happened?
It's okay.
So, yeah, just a little background about me. Um, I started off with wanting to help the NFL players and the families and the wives because of what was going on that we saw firsthand in our own family.
Okay.
And sometimes you don't get immediate evidence that there's something going on that's post-concussive, but in our case, we did. The teams had 100% evidence of the injury that Mr. Royal has sustained, and instead of allowing him to retire, which he asked to do, as soon as his injury showed up, he wanted to preserve his brain and preserve his health. And instead, because he wasn't 100% disabled at that time, in their opinions are that they didn't even acknowledge that brain injuries existed in the league at that time. They forced him to continue playing and also pretended like they didn't know that these issues were something that we could contend with. And so when you have team planes being grounded, after a game because of the situation, that the owners knew, that the team knew, and instead of helping our guys who have these symptoms of post-concussive syndrome, they try to isolate the guys, discredit them, um, take away you know, um, their self-esteem on the way out of the game by basically starting a smear campaign against the players that were disabled in this way from playing football. And so that's where my advocacy began. And we realized it was happening to a lot more players, and that is still continuing.
Wow. And I know those who you're advocating are forever grateful for what you've been doing for them. Man. Jelly, you have anything? Because I'm sorry, we had technical difficulties. Lionel?
Hello, everybody. I'm finally here.
Okay.
I love it that we have someone's advocating for the players. She is correct. They have a way of blackballing and smearing guys on their way out of the league. My question is, were there early symptoms? Did you recognize anything early on that he pushed through that you did you what did you what changed in him that like what was the first thing you saw that changed in your husband that made you think that he needs help?
The first thing that we saw, first, you have to understand who he is. Very intelligent man, always has been. Very detail oriented, um, and in terms of responsibility and being able to manage things, that never been a problem. So we started noticing a lot of impulsivity, just real
Hmm.
impulsive decisions that didn't make sense that he wouldn't ordinarily make, and not really thinking much of it. But then, and the night before training camp,
Hmm.
his fourth year in the league, we just had a situation where it was, visible and immediately clear that something had happened to harm his brain. And he was hospitalized for several days before um, even being released to go back, out into the home, and then not released back into football for a few weeks. But I'll remember this to your point of smearing. When he was released back to the team, Mike Dicta, and I name names here, so you're just gonna have to, fact check me because they will all be correct. Mike Dicta decided to call him out in a team meeting and say, and we have this one MFer here that we're paying all this money to, and he's not taking the field because he's faking a brain injury. And so if you know Andre Royal, he's never faked anything in his life, and he told Dicta the same as he cussed him out on the sideline when Dicta continued to talk disrespectfully to him. That's a part of the smear campaign. And we go to the Colts, and because he was immediately traded to the Colts after that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into the reasons for trades and stuff after an injury has arisen down the line. But we had the Colts, and when he had an incident, a medical incident, and these medical incidences were well documented on both teams. They both knew, and their doctors were monitoring him for them. But he had a medical incident, and he came to a team meeting late because of that medical incident, covered in blood, and the team suspended him for conduct detrimental to the team. And at that point, he decided, I'm not coming back to football. These people have no regard for my health and safety. So if you won't let me quit, I'll quit. However, the coach still owe him 2 years pay on that 4-year guaranteed contract. So, there are things that the league does, to make these guys feel that they're the ones that are crazy. And so if we didn't have physical evidence that we were able to see that he had a brain injury, we may not have understood the full effects of what he was going through. But there are several symptoms that players and their families can definitely look out for. And impulsivity is and loss of inhibition, self-isolation, ringing in the ears, excessive headaches, anxiety, social anxiety, overly stimulated, easily aggravated, drug and alcohol abuse that comes from scalloping in the brain. So there's an actual physical area of the brain where if it's damaged, it could lead to addictions. So you might see gambling where a person never gambled before. You might see them smoking cigarettes and they never smoked cigarettes before. So there's a long list of symptoms, and depending on where you're injured in your brain, those symptoms are manifest differently.
So, myself, I went through a brain injury as well. I was diagnosed with early stage dementia, and I remember watching my wife struggle and
Oh,
her
yeah.
dealing with it. And it's like it's not just the player being affected; it's his family, his kids. My daughter looked at me weird because I would have weird mood swings. And how was it as a spouse? Like, how does you feel watching them go through this? How did that affect you?
Well, I'll tell you really how it affected his children, because when you're a child and you see your father one way, and then within a very short period of time, you see all of these symptoms come around and you don't understand them. One of the things that we see players do a lot is they will isolate themselves from the people they love the most because they can't control those symptoms. So if I'm easily aggravated and I have outbursts. And usually that's just because of memory. You know, if I'm talking and I'm struggling to already remember what it is I'm trying to say, and you cut me off, then I might react like, you know, don't cut me out, you know, but say it in an aggressive manner, or be aggravated about it and just not want to talk at all. So, you know, one of the things as wives and daughters and sons that we really have to look at is how do we support that player when they're going through those symptoms. You can't argue with a man in the same way that you would if you and not to say that you should or not should not, but if you know that that their outbursts are coming from a place where they can't control, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to go back and forth with you because this is not, I'm arguing with your disease at that point. And so, you know, it's not healthy. So you have to train, especially the younger wives, to understand, because what we're seeing is presenting so much younger now. Like the youngest player that I'm working with is still an active player, and he's 24 years old.
Wow, real young. I hear you mentioning.
Go ahead.
I hear you mentioning about sometimes about mental health. So I'm going to stay in this lane. So we're hearing a lot about mental health and football injuries. So have you noticed there is a difference between mental health and CTE, and seeing that any of that manifest, because it seems like the lines are blurred. So have you seen any of that?
Yes, a lot of players, when they first start seeking help, especially the younger ones, they're seeking help for their symptoms. They're seeking
Mm-hmm.
help because they're suffering from anxiety and depression now, and they've never suffered from that before. They're
Mm-hmm.
suffering from suicidal or homicidal thoughts, which also occur to the hits to the head, cause those to occur. So they're seeking out help for the symptoms, but the causation is what they really need to be looking at help for. Because if you treat a person with a traumatic brain injury or post-concussive syndrome in the same way that you treat a person with psychological illness, you could actually cause them to have a psychotic break. And we're seeing that a lot with some players that have been prescribed medications for depression, anxiety, and those medications are making them worse, are making them, you know, even suicidal.
So it's safe to say that maybe some misdiagnosis or something like that, and not
Absolutely.
understanding the real symptoms that's coming from the traumatic brain injury resulting in CTE.
That's right. So if you're a football player and you're experiencing, or people are telling you, oh, you need to have your mental health checked out, what they should be telling you is you need to have your brain scanned. You
Yeah.
need to actually look at a functional scan of your brain and compare that to a normal brain, a healthy brain, your age, your gender, side by side, and see what that looks like. Because, for instance, depression as a cause shows up totally different than depression as a symptom due to a traumatic brain injury. They look different on the brain scan. It's not hard to differentiate the two. So and psychology, unfortunately, is the only discipline of medicine that doesn't look at the organ in which they treat, typically. Now, at NFL Sisters in Service, we sought out psychologists, psychiatrists, neurologists that all look at the brain before they start to treat it. Because, like I said, the consequences of not doing so could make the player worse.
Well, we love that, but we would like for right now just take a quick commercial break, and we'll be coming back with Life After the Gridiron.
Friday night lights, college dreams, but most players never make it past high school. When the dream ends, life just begins. Some made the league, but when the game ends, depression, anxiety, financial ruin.
Join us on our podcast, Life After the Gridiron, starting in May, every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
And we were back with Life After the Gridiron with my co-host, Super Bowl champion, Lionel Jelly Roll Dalton, and our very special guest, Miss Stephanie Anderson, as we discuss her journey as an advocate and a supporter and a team player and a organizational founder. So Stephanie, continue. And I'm so happy that we got you here today. I'm happy that we got a big man, the NFL veteran, Mr. Jelly Roll. And I see you got the shirt on, Brother Jelly Roll. Show the fans the shirt.
DM me for merch.
Yes. Hey, well, we got a little anxiety off me. I was a little stressed out when this first started. My eyes were getting blurred.
Man, it was a lot.
Oh man. I'm sorry, everyone. I apologize.
Tell the truth and strain the devil. You know he gonna be trying to control the airwaves.
I started to feel like that.
He owns the airwaves.
Serious.
That's his,
I was like,
domain.
my eyes getting blurry. I can't see. I'm having anxiety, and I'm like, okay, so now we ready now. So
I'm thinking
Stephanie,
my memory issues kicking in because I couldn't even remember the code. Like the code to open my computer did not work. I know my code.
I know you know it. Hey, we've been doing it, and like you say,
so I had to get on the laptop, huh?
Yes, it's happening, but you know we working it out. So Stephanie, I know that you have a lot of experience with CTE and head trauma and injuries. Have you run across any research or evidence to back up some of the things that you discussed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there are several studies that some of them were funded by the NFL over 20 years ago.
What?
Oh yeah. So the NFL, I think in some instances it was trying to fund research to prove that they didn't know, or that it couldn't be known, or that you couldn't tell certain things. And so there were a lot of studies done with thousands of NFL players over the years. One of the biggest one, or the biggest one, is with Dr. Daniel Amen, and where he did SPECT scans of the players' brains when they started treatment, after treatment, and again after treatment. And one of the things that that we were told by the NFL, by the doctors, is that there really wasn't anything that could be done for post-concussive syndrome, that, and that there weren't any long-term effects from it, or even immediate effects based on how soon they put players back into games now. And so one of the things that we found was that you have to eliminate the cause of the injury, which in this case is playing football. Once that person has been injured in that way, they need a lot of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, generally about 120 sessions. They need a high-fat diet, like fish oil, omega-3s, zincs. They need to basically feed the brain. The brain is the consistency of soft butter. So when when you're being hit, the brain is going against sharp edges in the head. So the inflammation, we have to find a way to take that inflammation out. HBOT is the best way to do that. They use it with wounds. We're also trying to get them to start using it with our military veterans. So we're not actually trying to end the game of football. We'd like to save the brain, save the player, save the game, you know. And we believe that by having the NFL now is saying that they want to have mental health workers in every facility, but what they really need are brain health workers in every facility, someone actually teaching that player how to take care of his brain. And every player should have access to hyperbaric oxygen therapy during and after football.
Okay. Yes, and again, one of the things that we here on Life at the Gridiron, we are not definitely trying to create any problems with the NFL or veterans, but we just want to bring awareness because we know that football, as well as the military, has done a lot for people's lives. It has been able to help them take care of their families, leave legacy, but we also want to bring awareness and almost like an informed decision about some of the things you may experience after your career has ended.
Absolutely.
So, Lionel, Yellowrow, you have anything from in terms of commenting regarding, our goals about not trying to have any issues?
Well, I pretty much I got into meditation. That's what helped me. I believe breathing, constant breathing, fish oils. I actually went to Usha Research Center in Honduras before Dr. Sebi passed away. And so I
Okay.
did a lot of fasting. I did a lot of, he kind of, analyzed my issues and pretty much what she said fed my brain, and I
Mm-hmm.
definitely see a difference from that protocol. I was depressed. I was foggy thoughts, arguing with my wife, and just that detox and get away and do nurture my brain helped me a lot. And so that's why my big thing is I would like to see a facility in every state that we have for
Yeah.
football team, a city that it's like the military. When you guys leave the military, they have something you guys have to do
Yeah,
after
VA,
you, yeah, what's it called again?
almost like the VA, like the
Yes,
Veterans
we need
Hospital.
we need something like that for athletes, for football players, to help us adjust to life after the game because it's I can imagine working a regular job after leaving the NFL and dealing with the issues I have. I don't have the patience. I don't have the tolerance for certain things, and it wasn't. I wasn't like that before I started playing the game, and so I
Yeah.
just think there needs to be some type of protocol for us once we adjust the game. So I'm all for that. That's what I'm advocating for, to come together with the military and the NFL and bring resources to help these guys adjust after the game. That's what I would like to see done from this podcast. So that's pretty much my mission right now.
And we
And
got
so,
to do it from the right way too, because we have a lot of organizations out there trying to take advantage of players by misdiagnosing them. And to your point about having a place all over the country, we're actually in a process right now of putting together something like that with Liquivita. And we'll have our first HBOT center here in South Florida.
what
Or
is HBOT? What is HBOT?
the
Yes. What is
hyper
that?
It's a hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So it is the hard shell, sort of like a dome type of thing that you go inside of, and they put in a certain amount of pressurized oxygen, and that
Okay.
is literally going in and healing your brain. Um, it's putting the oxygen right back into your brain. It's taking the inflammation out, and so that's been one of the biggest barriers. But having a center to where we can have that along with other resources that lead to a healthy brain, like with Amen clinics, we have 11 centers around the country right now of Amen clinics. And we have had through NFL Sisters in Service about 50 or 60 players brain scanned through those different centers around the
Mm-hmm.
country, just to get them answers. But we have a lot of places out there, well, one in particular that I'm thinking of, where they take advantage of players that are just wanting answers to what's going on, and put them in facilities that don't address what their actual injury is, and in fact, it makes it worse because they haven't looked at the brain. But
So
a
are
lot
you?
of people,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, but a lot of people try to profit off of the pain and suffering of others and make a quick buck.
Yes.
Wow. And so you having these experiences. So what would you say a percentage of some of those players that you have worked with or have been basically diagnosed with TBI? You know, you think it's, you
I
know,
all of them at this point, all of them but two.
wow.
All of
So
them
all
but
the people
two.
you've been doing since you've been being an advocate for this, you have experienced almost 100% with
100%,
this.
almost
That's
100%.
when you
Yeah.
can. Wow.
And I'll tell you the difference between those two players is they had a leg injury, both of them, that didn't heal while they were playing in the league. And the league, the team put
Hmm.
them through a hyperbaric oxygen
Okay.
chamber for that leg wound. And they had basically HBOT therapy for the entire 16 years that they were in the NFL.
Hmm.
And their brains were the only two that I've seen where there was almost no damage.
So why
Mm.
are we not learning about this stuff?
Because if you tell a mom that there's a possibility if her child plays football that he could get have post-concussive syndrome or have a traumatic brain injury or something of that nature, then the average mother nowadays is going to say, no, there's something else that I can steer my child into that's more productive, that's going to take care of them,
Yes.
that's not going to give them the same consequences. Um, and they're not going to allow their child to play. Well, that child is the eventual product for the NFL. And so if you don't have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of mothers feeding into their son's dream of playing in the NFL, you can't field a team of 100 of them for that season. So you need 3,200 every year, and your pool is Um,
So,
I
oh, wow. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I believe that this is really sort of the last. We're in the last years of 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 children thinking that the only way that they can make it out of financial situations and hardship is playing in the NFL.
Yeah, when you think about it, like only 1% of us make it.
That's
And
right.
so is it worth putting my child in pursuing a sport that only he has a 1% chance of making it to the NFL, but a 50 to 60% chance to have brain injury?
Before he
Is
even
it
gets to the NFL,
exactly? Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Your quality
he
of
Is it
has
life.
that
worth it?
same chance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
and he
me as
has
a
those
football
same
player
chances.
myself, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What'd you say?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was saying he has even if he doesn't make it to the NFL, he has that same percentage of chances of getting injured.
Yes.
We're seeing high school kids. You Tim Tebow talks about having his first concussion when he was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
And
me and I know a lot of players who played no because we were the big guys on the field that was dominating. I've definitely given little league football at least several young men concussions because I
yeah.
was
Yeah,
always the biggest guy on the field. And so you
yeah,
got this 100-pound 8-year-old against this 30-pound year old. What you think is going to happen? And they got us doing Oklahoma drills,
Oh
and
my
he's running
God.
the ball. I'm gonna
yeah.
tear his head off. So I've known, yeah, and I look back now, some of my old high school teammates who didn't even go to college, they have anger issues. They have all types of issues right now, and so
Yeah.
I'm looking for the link between the prison system and sports and violence in the black community because all of us put our kids in football. Is there a
That
link between that football and violence in the black community? And I was just wondering that. I would love to see a study, a breakdown on that.
I
you
was.
know what? That's a great question and a great point because if you look at the biggest the biggest sufferers of head injuries are domestic violence victims. They're hit in the head where the bruises don't show up. And then we look at the cycle of abuse that continues within our our communities. So I think that's an excellent point, and something that definitely needs to be explored more.
Yeah, and to
Yeah.
play devil's advocate, you got to think about if I'm NFL, I don't want this information out because if it can pretty much ruin my league. If mothers, like you said, stop putting their kids in professional football or playing football, who's going to feed the NFL? Who's going to, it would kill,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? You could get rid of the rest of
That's
their
right.
$1 million slaves.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And to Lionel's point, he was bringing up, and I remember when you think about football, when you play little league, one of the things that is a badge of honor is having colors on your helmet. Now it's tackle football, but if you notice, we always bragging about the colors on our helmet, and that's ongoing head trauma, head trauma, head trauma. And you're talking about starting at 8 years old.
You talking
You're talking
about
about see
you talk,
the colors.
Hmm.
So you're
yeah,
talking
this is
about yeah, head
Everybody's
injury,
paint.
and then yeah, and hitting. But you're supposed to be tackling, so you may have 20 concussions before you even get to high school. And you're
because
talking
I know
about
that for us.
years. And I'm sorry.
hmm I know for us that
Yeah,
was a badge of honor to have that on your
yeah,
helmet.
exactly. So we're considering, like for example, all the thousands of biopsychosocials I have done. And one of the things that I'm thinking about because we're advocating for this, the one question was, and I think should be incorporated in biopsychosocial is, have you ever played a contact sport? Because Lionel was talking about, if there's some type of correlation between football and our children and behaviors in school and their violence.
Yeah.
Because football is a violent sport, in
But
addition to
not just
all the head
football,
trauma. Yeah, the
boxing,
head traumas, and sometimes the
swimming,
head trauma
wrestling.
manifests
And
into behavior issues, and it does create aggression.
yeah, and
So
I don't think football on its own, in and of itself, is going to create it, but it is the physical aspect and the effects of it that definitely do. I think it's interesting to note that one of the things that helps these players to keep all of those symptoms in check for so long is having the structure of football, having the locker room camaraderie to where you automatically have someone checking on you. All of those things allow these guys to continue to perform even in the face of suffering from these brain injuries. And so when they step away from the game and they don't have those same systems in place, now those symptoms are able to start coming out more without anything to help check them. And I think that that's really something else that we really need to talk about, because we've been told too many times that our guys are acting up because they miss football, that they just don't know how to live without the game. Most of them are glad to be done with football.
Yes,
It's the
especially if you played a
symptoms
long
now
time.
that they're having to deal with, that were kept at bay, so to speak, by the game.
Mhm.
mm,
And it's definitely a struggle because I got heavy into drinking when I first retired, and I got heavy into I got into ecstasy for a minute, drugs, and so it's definitely I think it was more just escaping, finding something something to do with that aggression, and it's definitely conditioning. I noticed like during July each year for the first 5 years I retired, I would start just breaking glasses in my hand for some no reason, or like I would like do
Well,
things
it's
extra
not an
violent. I can't.
unreal reason. It's not an
Yes,
unreal
I'll have a
reason. If
glass
you
in my
pull
hand and
up
I
the
just crush it.
stand, if you
Huh?
pull up the handouts that I sent to you guys, because I was it was chuckling a little bit because you were like literally giving the exact symptoms for if you have a prefrontal lobe injury.
Oh,
So
that's
like especially you have to look at it. Did I have these things before? Is this something that I was doing before, that I was
mhm,
interested in before? If you were not a
hmm
drinker before and you start
no.
drinking, you got to look at your brain. Like if you have scalloping in the brain, that's going to
mhm,
cause you to have addictive, wanting to drink, wanting to do drugs, all of the things you just named. It's, impulsive behavior,
Yeah.
aggravation, like all of these things, suicidal thoughts. There's crazy how if you look at a brain, I've gone through and I do the interviews with the players before we have their brain scan. I get all of their symptoms lined out.
Mhm.
They tell me everything before their scans are done. Same thing with the doctors. The doctors get all of that information. We look at the scans and
Mhm.
everything that they're saying lines up. And so when you have a player like a Junior Suave who says he's suicidal, and then you look at his, and I'm not saying that I've looked at Seau's scan, but I've looked at others that are alive, and I'm not going to mention their names, but you look at their scans and it shows that the brain is injured in a place that causes them to become suicidal. And then in a couple of cases, we've actually seen that, and they committed suicide. It's not, it is in the scan. We have to look at the scan and we have to treat the players based on what's showing up there, not behaviorally. We can't keep going on anecdotal behavior and trying to diagnose people who have these injuries.
Whew. Yeah.
Someone says, how do we feel about neuro rehab? And I think neuro rehab is extremely important. There's so many things that you have to that you can do to really start to rehab the brain, and looking at your brain during the mapping, doing the EEGs to see, what, like getting a real understanding of what is going on with the brain in the first place, and then treating it from there. There's so many different modalities now for treating traumatic brain injury, and our players don't have to suffer from it.
Yeah. Quick question. So, so let's say NFL gave you a blank check right now for the players. What would be the first thing you implement, and like what would be the protocol for players once they retired if you were in charge?
I would immediately get every single last one of their brains scanned at Amen Clinic. That would be the very first thing, because there's other SPECT imaging, but there hasn't been SPECT imaging done in this way to where you could actually see the functional areas of the brain that have declined. And it's vivid. It almost shows up like a hole in the brain because there's just nothing happening there. And then when it corresponds with the different injuries that they've had, it just makes sense. So I would get SPECT imaging done for every single player, so we have a baseline of what they're actually going through right now. Then the second thing that I would do based on their scan is to get them on a HBOT and a high supplement protocol in terms of the omega-3s. There's BrainMD has this huge line of products. Every player that we get their brain scanned, we start them on the red box, which has 3 or 4 different supplements that are combinations. So they're not taking a ton of pills every day. They're taking a blended tablet that has everything that they need for that particular issue, including anxiety, depression. But there are supplements, neuropharmaceuticals that that help these things, and that's really what all of our pharmaceuticals were based off of in the first place. So that then we'd start with HBOT. Every single player, I'd have make sure that they had access to free HBOT, free hyperbaric oxygen therapy, either in a clinical setting in their home, wherever. But that would be that's probably the most expensive portion of it, but that's the most important portion of it. And then I would also help them to develop, the other regimens that doctors have recommended for brain health, changing their diet, taking out certain toxins, getting those tests. They have to get a genetic testing before you prescribe anybody medications to see how their body is going to react to it. And so having funds available for those testing, those tests. And then also having a neurologist and a psychologist that are able to follow them and to work hand in hand, to help them through, those symptoms that come up from the injury itself.
I have a question for both of you.
Yes.
So when I'm hearing about a lot of the
Can't
services,
hear you, brother Suave.
you cannot.
I can, but
Oh,
Okay,
I can't hear
so
him.
the question I have for you is, so you haven't. I'm hearing you mention about a lot of services and things. Does a injured NFL veteran have to qualify, or they just naturally give them these services?
they don't give them any of these services.
So it's
So
nothing for NFL. They don't have to have a certain amount of money or a certain amount of criteria to say I have these injuries and I can get some help, or is this strictly donations from like organizations, Sisters in Service
yeah, for
providing?
the most part, in terms of their brain health, I would say that out of the NFL organizations, we're probably doing the most with the least amount of money, but we have a lot of very good resources. And so we've worked out deals with different testing so that we can get those tests at a lower price because we have so many players that need them, just things like that. But I would say that really, um, it would really to heal the average brain player, average player, or even veteran, probably military veteran, average person suffering from a TBI. You would probably be looking at about $10,000 a year over about 5 years at least, in terms of prevent the basic things that you would need to put into place. Um, and you could do it even on less than that because some players are not going to respond. It's not going to take them as long as to respond as others. But I feel like um, if if the NFL were serious about these things, and they would offer the players lifetime health care. They would not put conditions on benefits that we have already, um, and by saying that they're not going to pay for certain treatments that help the brain to heal, like they do not reimburse for hyperbaric oxygen therapy any longer through the 88 plan, which we know is the biggest thing.
That's whew.
Even, and you asked about the wives earlier and the children. Really, that's one of the biggest things. The difference is when the player starts going through certain therapies. That's when the family really starts to see the difference in terms of them getting help and them actually being able to participate in family functions, even if it's on a limited basis, is better than what they were able to do before. And
Yeah.
when you have guys that look like Jelly Roll, like they could go out there and play today, people don't think that there's anything
Nothing
that they
wrong
need
with
to be
us.
concerned about. Yeah,
Hmm.
but
Right.
that's the biggest frustration.
Yes, absolutely, and
Yes, it
and I guess
is.
that's why they call it the invisible wound and the silent killer,
I can't hear
because
brother Suave, but
oh man, I'm sorry.
at this point, do you see the NFL changing its policy? Because you said something about 88, right? One thing I don't understand about the 88 plan is this, right? I qualify for 88 plan and I got total and permanent disability. My
Hmm.
88 plan only pays out 30,000 because I got total and permanent disability. But I
Yeah.
need the rest of the treatment. So my guy I'm working with, I have to like spread it out. That
Yeah,
thirty
that's
thousand over a whole year when they allocated 100 and how much? I think it's 130,000. I was supposed to
160.
get
It's like a
160.
100. Yeah, 100, and it's like, oh yeah, it's about 138 to 139, depending on when you came out. And then it's the
right.
difference between what you're getting and disability. So if say it's 150,000 and you're getting 140,000 in disability, you only have $10,000 that they will give you in terms of that benefit a year. So
Yes.
yeah,
I don't
It's
Yeah.
understand
really,
that because I need all of that from. I can't spend the money I'm living off of. These treatments are expensive. It's not. It's not.
very.
It's not cheap. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the whole. Well, I don't want. I know what I think it is. I just wish it wasn't
Oh,
like
that's
that.
exactly what it is. The league saying is to just deny until we die. And so,
Mhm.
when fans hear that, they're like, well, why would they, want that to be the case? But, if I've got a person that I've damaged and I'm still trying to damage others, I don't want this one over here, to testify. I don't want them giving their testimony. So they don't even want the players to be around the current players. So because when collective bargaining comes around, the only players that vote, even though they're all in the players association, are the current players. And
Right.
so we have to really educate the current players into letting them know, listen, 98% of you are going to be disabled too. Like you're really not going to be able to manage the day-to-day functions of your life until you get help for this brain injury.
Yeah.
And if you're voting now against your own interests in the future, then they're winning. So we've really got to educate the younger guys that are in the league and letting them know that they can make the change. First of all, we shouldn't be playing anymore until there's guaranteed health insurance, lifetime
Wow.
health insurance for all of the players in the NFL. We're
Yeah.
the only major sport that does not offer lifetime health insurance for the players, and they are the ones who need it the most.
You know,
Right.
you're
A lot of people don't
absolutely
know they
right.
don't cover. Because when I got out and I wanted to get insurance, they don't cover pre-existing conditions
No,
insurance.
no, and if they,
And so
yeah,
I
but now
played
you got
football for
out
10 years, defensive tackle. So I got some pre-existing conditions. And so
exactly.
it's like, and then I met people like Lenny Moore. He played back in the early '60s. He told me he pretty much went broke off medical bills.
Because they only made 30 or $40,000 in the
Right,
60s.
right.
So,
And so
that's
I
the
don't think
that's the
it
thing.
really wasn't that much.
I would like to
Not
It
see
at all.
something
wasn't that
done for
much
those guys. I
at
would like to
all.
see something done for those guys, especially those guys
Yes.
that 10, 20 years before me, because I feel like they are in
Yeah.
dire need. They're in
Yeah.
a
They
lot
are.
worse shape than we are. And
And
Yeah,
and
there are
and
very little benefits for them that they even
uh,
qualify for at this point in
right,
time. By the
yeah.
right,
time, by the time the league was acknowledging what the risk of playing in the NFL were, they were already out of the league and way past the disability age. And
Hmm.
and people would say, "Well, you shouldn't have known," but at that time, the thing that you were most concerned about was a neck injury or maybe not being able to walk a little bit.
right.
Or yes.
Paralyzed,
You were
maybe
not,
being
yeah,
paralyzed.
maybe paralyzed, but nothing
Yeah,
dealing with
that's
the brain.
the brain. No, I didn't even think
Yeah.
of that. And when I think
Hmm.
back at when I played little league, like when we made a bad play, our coach used to make us run into it. So we had to run. He had hit us upside the head. I'm thinking like
Hitting
this
on the
dude,
head. Yeah.
he's traumatized like half of the west side of Detroit and
Yeah,
leaving brain injuries to so many little kids. Because every time we messed up, we had to run to him. He had this pad and he would just knock us down from my head. I'm just thinking like, man, that's yeah,
think about two-a-days while you were playing
right,
two-a-days in college
Hmm.
right,
and in high school.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. But what I want to see
yeah,
is
yeah.
and I can say for myself
And
is
so this
that
is my issue is Swab, I can't hear you, Swab. I can't hear you.
I
uh
can't, my
I'm
charger.
well, you can't hear me. So I what I do is I'll allow you just go ahead because I can't you can't hear me. So just go ahead. No, go ahead.
I can hear her, but I can't hear you.
Okay. Well, Stephanie, can you tell him I'm going to make a statement right quick?
Oh, he's going to make a statement real fast, he said.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So again, I would like to have a partnership with the NFL and the military because I can honestly say when they were saying about some of the NFL retiring, they're not getting lifetime health services. I can say as a disabled veteran that they are taking care of me for the rest of my life. in terms of my
Exactly.
insurances, services, TBI services, physical therapist, dental, and everything. So I do appreciate that, but it's just that the NFL is a billion-dollar business as well, and I think they have enough profit to help these people because they need to be taken care of. Because I just couldn't imagine with the physical ailments I have had for a while. It's not going anywhere. So I'm grateful for the services that I receive from the VA. And I just wish that the NFL can help their veterans without putting limitations on them.
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful if we had that, but we have, you know, Mike Dicta, the head of the Dire Needs Fund now, and he was the one who's accusing players of faking brain injury. So we know what it is. It is what it is. And that's the reason why we put into place our own services. We've reached out to independent doctors who are board certified or triple board certified in their fields that are going to be examining the player's health from a standpoint of a clinician instead of the standpoint of somebody getting a check. And we know that the NFL sends players to neutral physicians that they choose and they pay for. And if you as an NFL player don't have your own records, if you haven't been seeing your own doctors over the years, then you are at the mercy of the league and the doctors that they've paid to tell you what your issues are. Even with the BAP exam, the baseline assessment through the concussion settlement, they are giving you a baseline of where you are right now, which might be 10 years after you've left the league. Not instead of you having your medical records and showing where you were when you came into the league and your medical records showing your decline. So, there are a lot of different things that have been put into place to look like they're helping. They are not helping. And so we're very grateful to have organizations like the Amen Clinic that you can't disagree or argue with a scan. I tell people my rotator cuff is right now. You can't argue with the MRI.
Yes, I was
And
going to say they can't argue with those scans. So I don't know why he's saying people faking it because when I found out, they was able to see the mush brain. They was able to see it. They may not be able to officially give me CTE, but they can see the traumatic brain injury.
yes, and there are proteins that are showing up that they are aware of as well.
Yes.
Dr. There was Mount Sinai in New York. I want to say Dr. Gandy did a study of with SPEC imaging back in 2012, where they were able to go in and diagnose CTE and living through certain imaging and protein piles that were showing up. So this is all information, and that study was funded by the NFL. So this is all information that they are aware of.
Mm-hmm. So listen, where can people contact you? Because
They can contact me through, I give out my personal number so players can reach me. That's fine. If you're a psycho, you're just going to get cussed out and hung up on. So, but my email address. Yeah, my email address is anointedbusiness@yahoo.com. That's ANOINTED, the word business @yahoo.com. We have on social media, you can send us messages through NFL Sisters in Service.org. We're on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know the other ones, but NFL Sisters in Service.org. And then if you're a family member, a wife, or a child, or a player, and you are trying to find out if there are resources out there for your loved one, you can call me directly. My number is 305-699-1010. 1324. 305-699-1324. So call or text me there.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Miss Anderson. Really appreciate you. And also, I don't know if Lionel can hear me, but I will ask him, do we have any closing remarks?
He says, do you have any closing remarks?
Just a question. What would you say to the mother who's thinking about putting their kid in tackle football?
I would tell her to call Janice Johnson, Rudy Johnson's mother. I would tell her to call Doug Martin's mother. And not so that you can not make that decision, but so that you can get an honest opinion of where that could lead to your sons. If you don't, if you're not going to take um, full accountability for that decision early on, and making sure that you are taking care of your child's brain, getting it scanned, getting it monitored, seeing a neurologist. Like from the time you put them into football, you're going to have to start doing this if you want your child to be okay. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to have to bury your child one day because of football, then don't put them in football. Now, again, I say this because right now the league is not changing. If we could save the game of football, there would be moms that would be willing to put their children back into football if there was any type of accountability towards these players by the league. But as long as the league continues to discount what's going on with our players and tell them that they were mentally ill before they got into the game, and that's why they're suffering from anxiety and depression, as long as you're going to sit there and play in our face, then no, you haven't made any decisions to make me feel like I need to trust you with my child.
All right. I have one more question. So, is it true? I heard rumors about it, but I don't know how true it is. Did they really say that black players are already a little slower than white players, and that's why we grade so low on these tests? Is that
Yes,
true, or is that rumor?
they actually did it. The league actually made the doctors that they hired to evaluate the players use race norming as a standard in
Damn,
terms of the test. And so
that's real.
what that said is that the player that the scores had to be that they had to take into consideration the low memory and performance scores on a neurocognitive exam now, mind you, because because black NFL players came in dumber than white ones. That's what
That's
they said.
true.
That's exactly what they did. And um, they were exposed for it. The wives went through and were asking questions about why is this saying this and what does this mean? But the judge also had to agree to allow that standard when the settlement was done. So not only did the league put it in there, and a judge approved it.
Yeah. And that's
Damn.
when it says systematic racism.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
was a little annoyed when I heard that.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
I always like to make sure that I point this out because the average fan may not know, but you cannot become an NFL player without becoming a college player. And at college, those players have to maintain at least a 2.5, 3.0 in their subject matter in order to play. You have many of the players that are graduating and starting a second degree before
Mm-hmm.
their eligibility is even up. So
Yes.
we're not dealing with dummies. And 85%, 75% of the league is black. So we've
Exactly.
got 75% of the league going to college and actually performing at the same rate or higher than their peers at the regardless of the school. Then we've got to stop this lie that that NFL players are unintelligent. These are some of the smartest men I've ever met. when you look at the size of the playbooks that they had to remember, the offense and the defensive plays, playbooks the size of phone books back in the day
Yeah.
that you have to remember and commit to memory, and then knowing the other team schemes. So these are students. These are students of the game. Many
Yeah.
of them have gone on to, I know at least 4 NFL players that have PhDs, and one ran a school system. So we're
Mhm.
not talking about dummies. We
And
are talking about men.
and it's a young brother that's actually a surgeon from Florida. I forgot his name.
That's right.
Oh,
Tamari Rose
Roy
brother, I
Rose.
believe.
Yeah, one
We
of
I
the
have a
Rose
think
brothers played for
he's a
Tennessee.
surgeon.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know we have at least about 4 NFL players that are doctors, and one of them was
Yeah.
what is an engineer before he became a neurologist.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah.
stop these
Surgeon,
lies.
NFL doctor in Dallas, one who did my fusion in my C4, C5. He played 10 years for Dallas Cowboys. And I
Yeah.
remember because he played for University of Michigan. I'm from Detroit, so but yeah, so yeah, that's another thing I want to do with the show, shed light on the other side. 'Cause they're always talking about us like we dumb and we do crazy. They don't ever show the fathers, the proud
Yeah.
black
That's right.
fathers, or the
Yeah.
businessmen. Because I know a lot of ex players that are heavy and doing heavy big things in business, but they never
Yeah.
really
Absolutely.
talk about us like that. And I don't understand that. It's almost like they purposely trying to discredit us. And I don't know. I want to show that we want to show the other side here on Life After the Gridiron.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys are doing that, because it is a systematic discrediting of the players, and they never fix it when they get it wrong. Like when they accuse a player of something, and then it's revealed that they were lying. They
They don't
never go back and
apologize.
correct
No
that. They don't
apology.
No.
apologize. No.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Well, we thank you so much. And
I wish I
so
could hear Brother
I wish,
Suave.
yeah, I wish you can hear me too. However, Stephanie, before as
He's
we
saying
log
thank you.
out, don't leave, because we're gonna do a quick wrap after the show. So everyone, thank you for having our wonderful guest, Ms. Stephanie Anderson. Please join us, and we do apologize for the technical difficulties, my anxiety that I had at the beginning of the show and everything. But also just join us each and every Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time on Life After the Gridiron with Super Bowl champion Lionel Jelly Roll Dalton and Dr. Brother Suave. Okay? Peace and blessings.
Friday night lights, college dreams. But most players never make it past high school. When the dream ends, life just begins. Some made the league, but when the game ends, depression, anxiety, financial ruin.
Join us on our podcast, Life After the Gridiron, starting in May, every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
We're shining bright. And we're shining the light on us like no other. Neighborhood Planet. Our neighborhood, our world.